Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery in our video studio today to tell you about the brand new HHA Tetra Max Ryz. These are the Cerakote editions of this sight. Tetra Max Ryz, HHA has had that sight out before, but now these have their Cerakote finish. Great finish from the folks at HHA. Cerakote, what is that? Ceramic coating. It just makes the sights more resistant to weather, scratches, abuse, things like that. It's just going to make them a little bit more durable. And it's cool colors, you know, take a look at that. This one right here, this olive color, this, you know, normally this sight would just be your basic black. Well, now with the Cerakote finishes, you can have the olive, you've got a nice brown one there. That's going to match, this is the Picatinny version here, so that one's going to match that Hoyt. I forget what the color is, but there's a Hoyt that's basically that color. It will have the pick mount on it, so you can use it for that. So while we're on the subject, we'll talk about that. Here I have, this is the tournament edition. So this one is going to have the removable dovetail here. In other words, you're going to mount this block onto your bow. And then, you know, when you break it down, you can pull the whole sight off like that, leave this on your bow. Also, this bar, this is bridge lock compatible. So for the Matthews bows that have the bridge lock riser, this dovetail will fit into the bridge lock mount. Now, what you will have to do if you have the, if you're putting this on a Matthews bow with the bridge lock, you're going to have to flip this vertical mount. This is the mount that goes into your big vertical channel here by these screws. These two screws, there's a clamp on the back that sits inside of this track. So you're going to have to take this and basically flip this block over. This block right here. You're going to have to mount it so that you can see this excess. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to put that on this side of the vertical rail. That's going to give you the sufficient right adjustment to work with the bridge lock sight. In other words, if I put this sight in this configuration into a bridge lock sight, I'm not going to be able to move it far enough to the right. So with the HHA, you just flip that block over. Now you're going to have that adjustment. Getting that out of the way, let's talk about the sight here, the Tetra Max Ryz. So this is a bulletproof, super durable sight from the folks at HHA. What you're going to have is it's going to be a 2-pin. This version here I've got, you can see I've got 2 aiming references, green and red. You are going to have a movable rheostat cover. So right here you can see my fiber exposed right there. Well, I can adjust this. You know, I can quiet those pins down if I have to, bring them back out into the sunlight, you know, adjust that. Basically, that allows you to, if you're getting starburst from your pins, you can close this up so it takes the light off the fiber and then your pins aren't going to starburst. So it does have the rheostat cover. But it is an adjustable sight, typical of HHA. So you're going to move this sight up and down to your different distances. HHA, of course, has this great gear system here. They've got one of the best gear systems in the game. Super solid teeth there. Just grips. There's no, you don't really feel any play in between the teeth. You know, like a little wiggle room. It's super solid as you move up and down. You just don't feel any give in that system. This is going to be your locking knob right there. You are able to overpower it with a lot of force. You know, emergency situation, you just forget to hit the lock. You are able to override that, but of course, when you unlock it, it moves nice and simple there. All right, we have our adjustment wheel. Cool colors, kind of a different color they give you. And in the pack, what you're going to get is another wheel, which potentially you could swap them out. But this one will come as your setup wheel. So you're going to notice here we've got 2 pin indicators. one top, one bottom. Those will match your two different pins there. So as long as you set the first one, the bottom indicator will always match your bottom pin. And sighting in, these are pretty simple. Again, I'm going to have my setup wheel here. Let me get to the top. So what I'm going to do, obviously I want to try and get as much out of my downward movement. That's what's going to give me my distance. So when I set it up, I'm going to start with the wheel pushed with this vertical bar up as high as I can get it. Now here's where this separate block comes in. So I'm going to push that all the way to the top, and let's say I'm going to set 20 yards as my 0. Now with this vertical bar pushed all the way up, I'm going to make my adjustments here. I'm going to slide this bar most likely down until that top pin is at 20 yards. Now I still have my full range of downward motion with that vertical bar, and my scope I'll be starting at 20 yards. I may not get, as much distance as you want. Eventually we're going to have arrow clearance issues, but that's how you make sure you're going to have the most adjustment that you can get for your setup. So with my setup wheel here, you can see I've got my setup wheel, I've got my 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out this wheel for this one, and I'm going to start at 0. My 20 yards, this indicator, I'm going to have that set at the 0, and it's going to be 20 yards. Then I'm going to, shoot my way back to 60 yards. And at 60 yards is going to be one of these numbers. So as I get back to 60 yards, somewhere between 0 and 60, my top indicator, my top pin, is going to fall into one of those numbers. Let's say it hits on 52. So because I started at 0 and my 60 is at 52, now I'm going to go to my sight tapes and I'm going to look for sight tape number 52. That's what this scale matches for your sight tapes. I'm going to take sight tape number 52, and that's what I'm going to attach on here, and then I will be good from 20 yards to at least 100 yards. We'll talk about that in a second. Because these sight tapes here, these are the longest range sight tapes that HHA makes. This is sight tape number 26, and it goes out to 185 yards. That is a beast. Most of us probably are never going to be able to have enough clearance to get 185 yards, but it's on the sight tape. If you're somehow able to do it, you can have a sight tape out to 185 yards. And then, these go by speed. Obviously, 26 is going to be your fastest, flattest shooting bow. And then coming down, it's going to be for slower and slower arrow speeds. It goes from 26 out to number 77. That's going to be the slowest speed, and even that one goes to 95 yards. So you're going to still have some long range shooting that you're going to be able to do with this sight wheel. And then, as I mentioned, we'll take a look here. Whatever I set for my top pin. Right now I have it set on, I'm going to set it on 35 yards. So I'm at 35 yards, and then I know that my bottom pin is going to be about 58 yards. You can see my indicator here. I don't have my reading glasses on, so I am guessing at that, but I believe that's at 35, and I believe that bottom one's at 58 yards. Point being, whatever you set, as long as you calibrate it following the HHA instructions, these two indicators are going to match these two pins, and so you'll always know what distance each of them is shooting at. So, some more features here. What else do we got? This is a great addition HHA brought in a couple years ago with their attachment block. It used to be that you mounted the scope. There was basically, you only mounted it right here to the channel. You didn't have this extra offset. And what that offset allows you to do is to separate your second axis adjustment from your vertical adjustment. So this is going to be what I use for my second axis adjustment. Of course, second axis is leveling the scope this way. Well, in the past, what would happen is as you loosen these to move the sight up and down, let's say you wanted to change the position, now you have to go back and re-level your second axis every time. You don't have to do that anymore. I can loosen these screws, move that up and down. Second axis is not affected because that's mounted in a different position. So that was a great feature from HHA. And then your third axis adjustment, this is going to be your locking screw. And right here, there is an Allen screw in there. Once I unlock and then turn my Allen key in this, basically what it's going to do is it's going to pivot the sight this way. So that's going to be leveling on your third axis. Right here we have our windage adjustment. I'm just going to loosen that and then I can turn. There are clicks. And what HHA says is that at 20 yards, one click is going to move your point of impact about 1/8 of an inch. So nice and precise. Nice solid clicks you're going to feel in there. Once you get it where you need it, lock that down and then it's not going to move. It's clicking, but it's not moving. So that's how you're going to do that. You've got a nice level in there, a real bright sight ring, getting your peep housing set. You know, when you're getting your picture, looking through the peep, you want to center it. You've got that nice bright ring there, catches your eye, will allow you to center that up real nice. All right, so in the box, what you're going to get is, this is, again, the tournament edition. There is a direct mount edition. There is the Picatinny rail edition, but you're going to get the sight. You are going to get the separate wheel, which, I used it as a setup wheel. That's what I'll call that. You're going to get tapes here. So you can see each one of these is one of the setup tapes right here, here, and here. In between, these are blank tapes if you want to just make your own. And then, of course, as we mentioned, you are going to get the 51 different sight tapes that you're going to put on the sight to get your yardages for this sight here. All right, so that is the new HHA Tetra Max Ryz Cerakote edition. Again, that's the new feature here. That ceramic coating on there, super nice, looks cool. Gonna make these sights even more durable. They're already pretty darn bulletproof. Folks at HHA really make a quality sight. If you want to see these sights on our website, be sure to click the link in the description below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. As always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.